This is Jason with the Simpademic, and I'm back here for another round, and kind of a follow-up to my message yesterday, talking about rage farming on YouTube and TikTok and wherever else they put this stuff up. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Billy Ray. Thank you just so much for the realization. And some women suck, but also for my subject today, some men suck. And here's where I'm going to go with this. I have an analogy from my past. And I used to be a part-time Uber driver in Minneapolis, and I would drive on the weekends around the bar closed and overnight hours on weekends. And if I had $1 for every time that I had a request from somebody named Michelle or Rachel or Shelly or somebody like that, and I pull up to the building in a nice gentrified area of Minneapolis called the North Loop, and out would come some guy, sagging pants. I could see his butt crack, and I'd be taking them back to North Minneapolis or the east side of St. Paul. And for those of you who are familiar with this area, those are not nice areas at all. Those are very low-income, high-crime areas. And I will state that, these are not trips that I look for. These are trips that, this is before the days when we would be given the destination before we picked them up as part of the request. A lot of times we had to pick up these trips up without any idea of where we were going until we picked them up. So I'd pick them up and I'd be bringing them back to North Minneapolis or the St. Paul East Side. Again, not very nice areas at all. Places you don't want to be at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or early Sunday morning. And I got to thinking, and this is something that has stuck with me for years. I don't do this anymore because with my traumatic brain injury, I really can't. I shouldn't say I can't. I could, but I just don't feel very comfortable doing it. So I don't do this anymore, but there's something that has stuck with me ever since. And I made the decision right in those times to never be those types of guys. I do not want to be a broke man who is relying on a woman for my ride home from a night out at the bar. Not that I think that there's anything wrong with that per se, but the way these guys were dressed and the way that they carried themselves was just not indicative of guys who were being their best. Now, does this mean that you have to meet the so-called rage-farmed quotas of a Chad and make $100,000 a year? No. What this means is that you should be working at your maximum potential. And, for you, if that means you're working in retail, you become this, you can become management or in the store manager. Those people don't make bad money at all. If you're working in the restaurant business, again, you climb your way into management or some other more senior position. This not only takes care of the money situations, but it also gives you a level of respect that you wouldn't have as a unemployed person living at their parents' house, which I believe these guys were. And it's just not a good look for men like this. So if this is somebody like you, or if you know somebody like that, get them to be working, get to working up to your maximum potential. I can say this with a straight face because I only have a 2-year general college degree. I am what is called an escalated complaint specialist for a Big Four national bank. I'm not impoverished. I'm not below the poverty line by any means. I live reasonably comfortably. There are times when things get a little dicey, such as today when my car got towed by my own apartment. It's going to put me out about $400 because they said they gave me notice. They did back in November, but 2 months later, here I am with a towed vehicle waiting in an impound lot. I'll be going to get that one tomorrow. That thanks to my former wife who actually floated me a couple $100 to help me get there. And this also reminds me of one other thing as far as rage farming is concerned. Not all women suck. My former wife is not in the suckage category by any stretch of the imagination. We share a daughter together who's 19 years old. And said kid spends the lion's share of her time with mom, which is kind of part of her mental state, which relies on having things being consistent and very little change. I can't be very specific about it I don't want my challenge to be flagged for a HIPAA violation. But at the same time, I do need to illustrate that not all women are gold diggers. I didn't pay any child support. I helped pay for a couple of things for my daughter. She stayed with me about half the time before my TBI. Now she doesn't because she's basically settled in and comfortable. And part of it, I think, is also that her mom's place has 2 just little dogs, and they're kind of her emotional support puppies, for lack of a better thing. And when stability is that important to you, those types of things are huge. And so, my former wife does not fall into the gold digger category that we see on these rage farm videos. She can actually be very helpful in a pinch when I need it. Of course, I do most of the things by myself, and I'm hang my hat proudly on that. But as Billy Ray Brandt will always say, not all women are like that. I got fortunate. It was a marriage that probably should never have happened because of the conditions under which it was created. In fact, I was basically rushed to it by external parties, but at the same time, I have walking evidence right now that not all women suck. But I also have walking evidence that a subset of men do suck. And my Uber driving past has a very clear evidence of that. So if you are a man or know a man in this position, my words, just like with every other video I've done in the past week, do better. Just do better. You need to be working at your maximum ability or capacity. Again, not everybody's going to have a master's degree. Not everybody's going to be able to make a 6-figure income. But every career field out there has some variety of ladder that one can climb, earn more of an income, not have to depend on anybody, not have to depend on a girlfriend you met at the bar in the North Loop of Minneapolis to pay for your ride home. I call the women that do this, I call them female simps, because they are... Ooh, there's a call coming in. I better just let it go. I swear to these phones these days, it's like they have so many features and gadgets that it sometimes gets to be a bit too much, especially for somebody my age. When you're 52 years old, I feel like I'm fairly adaptable to technology, but at the same time, so many things kind of bother me a little bit. Some of these gadgets, whiz-bang things. Anyway, that's my rant for tonight. This is Jason with the Simpademic. Appreciate everybody who's watching. Just please share in the comments if you agree or disagree with this. As for Billy Ray, there are things I disagree with her on. I think life would be boring if you agree with somebody on everything. But that one is pretty huge to me. And so is the whole men needing to do better for themselves and for everybody around them. Ciao. Tomorrow's will be midweek. Hump Day edition of End the Simpademic coming up.